Good morning, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I'm not having any luck of the Irish this morning. My computer is giving me some problems, which is why I'm a little bit late opening up the room here. Bear with me. I may end up having to reboot my Ninja. Doggone it. Why is it not responding? I got my poor computer doing too many things. So just bear with me here a moment. I should have my charts to you in a minute. Okay, they're slowly starting to load. I've just got too many programs running. Sometimes the screen share, the recording, all the charts that I have open, the live data feed, it just gets to be a little bit too much. And it's probably time to rerun the antivirus software, make sure I haven't picked up a bug or two along the way. Well, from the looks of it, we haven't missed anything. Looks like there was a signal here pre-market about an hour before. So we'll throw the trade manager on here now. Oops. And it looks like the hawk gave us a little first micro macro cross signal right here. That might have been worth trying. Okay, we're all set. I'm just going to put my trade manager on my other charts, but it looks like I might have missed that initial move out of the gate. It does appear as though the NQ remains bullish today, though. Okay, all set up. Yeah, Joe, I agree. Joe says it looks like the market wants to go higher this morning. Let's take a look at what's been going on in the overnight. Add an extra contract here to our Raptor. There we go. So the overnight, a little bit bearish. Things sort of quiet after the London Open. Market struggled a little bit and then made this really quick trend change. Well, quick in the sense that it didn't retest the extreme very well. You did see it. Turns out that it was right here. A little bit harder to catch though, but once we take out that low right here, get the cloud crossover, produce the sell signal, then it's pretty much game over for the buyers, and the market tailed off the rest of the session. Went a little bit sideways, gave us a retest of the lows right here. Came back, breached the highs, produced a soft edge buy, and came back even with a cloud crossover signal right here. So that's what we're looking at the moment. Oh, way to go. Joe says he's currently long on the E-mini from 2013. So we'll just see how this plays out if we can't get a little bit of structure here this morning. Oh, they're fading a little bit. Back here now to a macro pullback. This may develop into a full-scale pullback to the hard edge as well, which would see the market retreat to 43.80-ish. And that, again, it would be near our support line here on the support and resistance suite. I was looking at this macro pullback signal, but now we're into yellow bars. Actually, that is still a 4-arrow consolidation. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and here comes the red bar buy. I might throw a onesie on that just to see if we can't get a retest of these highs before the market calls it quits. So there's the red bar buy signal. It hasn't triggered just yet. And what I've done is I've switched into manual mode. So rather than risk the full amount, manual mode will default to this number up here to my quantity. So that's an easy way just to put a single order in. Gold has made huge gains. From yesterday. And crude oil also up. No, doesn't look like they're going to trip that red bar buy signal. So we'll scrub that order. Pardon me. Yeah, and here they are. They drifted all the way back now to that hard edge. So the only real opportunity we had to capitalize on this little move lower was the failure of the red bar buy. Actually, did we get a soft edge sell? No, not really. Technically, yes, but not really in the sense of the soft edge sell needs to be preceded by a retest of the high. So if you took that soft edge sell, I suppose you'd have to risk it above the high, which is not unreasonable, but it might have been a little bit more luck than brains kind of trade. get a bigger perspective here off of the eagle. Looks like we might be hunting for that trend line. I don't know, maybe the downtrend, the overnight downtrend will trickle into today's session. Thought for sure things would loosen up a little bit after yesterday's FOMC meeting. All right, well, we're getting a first micro-macro cross signal. Possible cloud crossover on the Raptor. Yes, it is a first micro-macro cross signal. Yes, it is a high probability signal. It's not giving me a warm, fuzzy feeling, though, because, well, we've drifted all this way without any real structure to the trade. So what I've done is, even though the signal's going to print right here, I would consider shorting it, but not until we get below the lows. And you can see the problem is I got to risk it way, way, way up here. All right, so here comes the first micro-macro cross. Is it going to follow through? And if it does, I'm going to try to run it out. I'll nix my profit target and see whether or not we can stretch this run out a little bit. They're floundering. They're trying. Buyers obviously supporting this area. Gold still moving sideways. Crude oil kind of floundering also. And, well, I guess we'll put this on the shelf for the moment. Good morning, Jim. Jim says the advanced decline numbers are slightly bullish. We've got almost 1,500 on the buy and almost 1,200 on the sell. So it has a slightly bullish flavor, at least according to the New York Stock Exchange. But right now, the market is trading like the middle of summer. I guess all those traders in Chicago are getting ready to drink all that green beer. Technically, this is a double dot signal here on the Falcon. We don't look at these very often because they're counter trend signals. And if you're looking at a double dot, you always need to look back into the history of the chart. And ideally, you're going to find a place, this would be a much better double dot if it were down here, where you would go back and you would say, oh, look, last time the market got at this price, it bottomed out and it made this nice rally higher. Oh, that's what it is. Thanks for the reminder, Jim. It's option expiration today. No, is that today or tomorrow? Okay, we're definitely getting a little bit of sideways action still. They haven't confirmed nor broken this trend line on the Eagle. There's not a report or anything due out today, is there? Working on a macro pullback. Hey, good morning, Derek. Glad you could stop by. Haven't seen you for a while. Have you come to watch the paint dry? The market's dead slow today. You probably did all right in the overnight, though. Derek is very much a night owl. Looks like you caught all the activity today. Yeah, Derek says the overnight was great. I believe it. We were just looking at the overnight, and even here on the NASDAQ, great little move lower. All you had to do is get in the way. Now we're kind of humming and hawing. Okay, so now we're into a macro pullback. But there they go. So we can nix our selling attempts below the lows. Looks like this trend line was off just a little bit. It was a little bit more like that. All right, here comes a red bar buy signal. And we can cover it below the low. So whenever the market encounters the hard edge on the eagle, we're always looking for some sort of reaction. And when it comes back with a red bar and generates a buy signal, that's usually a quality trade for us. Now we're using the ATR line here as a filter. That's that squiggly red and blue line. But currently everything is in sync, even though the market is falling off a little bit. Okay, well, at least we got the right level to enter above. If the buyers can pull it together at this point and reclaim the highs, then we should be in good shape. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3, no, we don't have a 4-arrow consolidation yet. We do have a hard edge bounce here on the Raptor, but because of the conflicting signals that we're seeing, I think I might, reserve entry until we get below the lows here. I know that's really, leaving a lot of open profit there, but I'm not convinced that they're ready to go lower just yet. Gold. Derek says he was trading gold in the overnight. Let's take a look at the gold market here. This is on the Eagle also. We got to roll back here a little ways. Actually, it looks a little on the choppy side unless you got started early. Here's out of the London Open, or just prior to the London Open, a nice little rally higher. Of course, yesterday's FOMC meeting, after the minutes were released, the gold market made a rather substantial run higher. Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. Joe says, let's move to Hawaii so we can trade the European session. I know a fellow who moved to the Ukraine, which isn't such a great place to be right now with all the problems that they're having. He used to live in Las Vegas, and he's a single fellow, and I think he actually moved to the Ukraine because he was chasing a girl, but the excuse he used was that he could trade, given the time zone, the way the Ukraine falls in the time zones, he could trade both North American and European sessions without having to, drastically change his lifestyle by staying up all night or not being available through the day. I never looked at it myself, but that's what he told me anyway. All right, so here comes the Eagle now with another sell attempt. So we've got the warning dot. We're back here to the trend line. Wow, what an unusual day. Jim says the advanced decline is still getting stronger, 1600 on the buy, 1100 on the sell. So it's getting a little bit stronger there. Technically, you could see this as a 4-arrow consolidation on the Hawk. 1, 2, 3, here's signal number 4. But just like with the Raptor, I don't think I'd be prepared to take it on the hash mark. I think I would enter it, but not until we get below the lows. Obviously, you need to cover above the highs. Joe's watching the US yen pair, and he says the US yen pair is suggesting the market will move lower. Well, it's entirely possible. We are at support for the market, though. This whole 43.75-ish area is support, and not just here on our support and resistance suite, where we are currently skewering the market pretty well. If you look back into your chart, actually, let me build you a chart so you can see. All right, so here's a daily chart for the NASDAQ, and we're looking at 43.75, which is right about there. So you can see there's a fair amount of activity around this price level. This isn't the first time the market has traded around this 43.75 mark. And to a lot of people, this is going to look like a little bit of a rounded bottom, or starting to look like a rounded bottom. So even if you dial this down, say to an hourly chart or something, you can see once again that there's been a lot of activity. This is not a new area for this market. All right, so I didn't get a chance to nix my profit objective here on the Hawk trade. It did fall off, hit our profit target. I'm going to close out the Eagle trade now, and I'd better get some sort of stop going here on our Raptor. As we've broken through the bottom end. All right, so we hit our profit objective on one, got tagged on break even on the other. It was worth a try, given how choppy the market is today. So now they're trying to recover. So we have a pretty good idea now where the buyers are prepared to dig in and where the sellers are, but it's an exceptionally big range. Derek, I don't know. Derek asked, whatever happened to Bill, the Night Forex guy in Thailand? He's still around. He's I think he's doing his own thing. I don't know. You should shoot an email to Adam. I haven't spoken to Adam about Bill for the longest time. Chris Scrantz is one of our DTS owners, and he's over in Germany. He's doing a lot of Forex type commentary at the Raptor Facebook forum. Yeah, like Derek says, he's probably in a Thai bar. Yeah. Woohoo! Party time. So maybe I didn't need to adjust that trend line after all. Oh no, they still violated the trend line. So the Eagle looking a little more bearish here at the moment. Good question here from Mo. And it doesn't look like we're missing anything. There's a possible soft edge buy here if you're really desperate for a trade. But Mo asks, Eric, do you find that crude oil trades better during the night between 2 a.m. Central and 10 a.m.? It seems like every time I look at oil, it seems to slow down quite a bit after 10 or so. It seems like the London Open gets it going. All right, well, let's take a look here at crude. I'll bring over the Eagle chart. You can do this. Oh, actually, maybe I should bring over something else because the Eagle chart, not a whole lot going on crude. Problem with crude oil of late, Mo, is that there's just nothing going on in crude. It's kind of been this way, well, ever since oil prices started their serious slide and kind of bottoming out. So certainly for the last 6 months or so, crude oil has been very uncrude-like. So if we take a look at yesterday's session, so here is the North American Open for crude oil, 6 a.m. my time. And you know, it had some activity in there. And then the market closes up. Oh, here, let's go back another day. No, actually, the overnight tends to be relatively quiet for crude. If you're going to be trading, say, the European crude, you're going to be looking at Brent crude. If you've never heard of, I'm sure you've heard of Brent crude, but in case you haven't, it's Brent, like the guy's name. So here was the day before. Here was the North American Open at 6 a.m. And yeah, kind of a choppy day. It did pick up a little bit in the afternoon. Crude oil typically will only trade or make its best moves the first couple hours of the day. You are correct about that, Mo. It's like crude oil traders, they got better things to do than hang out in a trading room. They'll get their trade on and then they'll go do something else. But sometimes the overnight can be pretty active, but not usually. Now, the thing with crude oil, too, is that it will typically make anywhere from an 80 to 100 tick range in the day. So if you see the market make its 80 tick range, oh, it came up short there, only looks like it did about 60. So here was the open. I was just trying to gauge the market off of the open. So it looks like it opened right about here. If it made its 80 tick range, then it's pretty much done for the day. This day here that I'm looking at, it came up a little bit short. Let's take a look at the next day. So here is the North American Open. Stop it. Oh, come on, get up there. Get up there. There you go. So it took a little while. This session took all day to get its range, but that's usually what crude oil does. Now, having said that, crude oil has not been behaving like crude oil of late. But I would think that the North American Open is still the best time. Now, I haven't followed it as closely. If you find something to the contrary, then by all means. Yeah, like Tony says, crude oil, it was easier to trade when it was over 90 a barrel, and that's so true. When crude oil used to be dead easy to trade. Well, okay, that's an exaggeration. Crude oil used to be easier to trade when it hovered between 85 and about 105 a barrel. If it got down to 85, you would look to buy. If it got down near, or if it got up to 105-ish, you would look to sell. But now that crude oil is still below $40, it's just crazy. It's hard to determine any type of range. Personally, I do believe that crude oil does have a bottom in. I think we will see crude oil continue to slip higher. It doesn't mean it's going to move higher today. Getting a little bit of a rule of three look here to the NQ. And we're also working on some sell signals, so it's still a real mixed bag here this morning. Yeah, Tony says crude oil already made 97 ticks today, so its range is, its typical range. I'm doing air quotes. You can't see that, but I'm doing air quotes. Its typical range is anywhere from 80 to 100 ticks. And after that, it'll just kind of flatline. So if it does that range in the morning, there's no point in trading it in the afternoon. I've always been, unlike Derek, who can't seem to sleep at night, I've always been one for trading the markets that are local to your time zone. So if you live in Europe, then look at markets like and here Derek actually has a couple suggestions for the overnight markets. The 6E, that's the euro, the 6B, the British pound, and gold are very strong markets at night. And that would make sense because those are markets that are native to the time zone. That would be daytime in Europe. Gold is pretty much a universal market. You can trade it regardless of where you live. It's always active. North American, European, and Asian sessions. I've also always been of the opinion that you don't need to follow a lot of markets. Yes, you will have days where you're not going to get a lot of trades off. Like today, it looks like the NQ, we're going to be sitting on our hands for the most part. I don't know why. Nothing's going on here this morning. But I would rather be shut out than to suck up a bunch of losses trying to chase the market around the block. So all I'm doing now is I'm just waiting for the market to give me a little bit more of a solid signal. I did consider this sell signal here on the Eagle, and I might still get on it with this second push, right? We do have a chance to get in here on the second push, or maybe I'll just take it below the low. When the market is ranging this way, sometimes you're better off just getting in below the extreme points. And this is kind of like a, let's dip our toe in the water kind of trade. This is in sync with the band, but I'm not liking the buy signals that we're producing here. That's reminiscent of a rule of three type scenario. Mo, great question. Mo asks, is there a symbol for the cattle market in futures? Well, you have piqued my interest here, Mo. Let's pull up cattle. Let's see if I can get a cattle feed. And we can too. Okay, and I'll pull this over here in just a second so you can see it. And we'll bring over the Falcon, why not? So here are live cattle futures. The Globex symbol is LE. Feeder cattle, which are usually a lot more volatile and a lot more expensive, their symbol is GF, like Gulf Foxtrot. So here are live cattle futures on the Falcon, and you can see I've gone to the alternate brick size, the 4 Hawk, 4 Falcon, 6 Eagle. And, we're still producing signals. Here was a trend change signal. A little bit of a follow through there. Another trend change signal. You might have been hard pressed on that one a little bit, but that was near the end of the day as well. So you may have chosen to hopefully manage your trade a little bit tighter, or at the very least start to roll your stops here as the market gets into the close. If you're looking for another market, and they've been a little bit quiet of late, but soybeans I've often find to be a good day trading market. And here's soybeans on the Falcon. The nice thing about soybeans is that once they pick a direction, they're pretty much locked in. They don't always get to business early, but once they do, you can see there's some very nice follow-throughs. So here's a very nice trend change signal. You'd have to wait until, well, you pretty much have to wait out the whole morning session. But you get the trend change signal, and just away we go, just wander along. And the thing with soybeans too is at 12.50 a tick, oops, darn it, can I risk it there? There we go. At 12.50 a tick, it's very easy to double your profit objectives. So you can get some very profitable moves out of this market. It looks a little busy with all the support and resistance lines. You can see here on, what was this, Tuesday, a very, very quiet day for soybeans. And here is Monday, another very quiet day. So this is, we're just getting into the growing season. So, traders are not really anxious to commit to anything right now. They're waiting on plantings and inventories and all the rest. So soybeans a little bit on the quiet side. But as we get into the spring and summer months, there can be some very pronounced moves out of soybeans. Just scrolling back here a little bit, you can see the daybreak lines. There are opportunities, but for the most part, you're looking at a lot of this, a lot of sideways action. And that's been going on for soybeans for the last couple of months. So a very strong accumulation pattern, if you will. And for those of you unfamiliar with that term, you need to brush up on your, you need to I can't multitask. I can't chew gum and walk, nor can I operate my computer and talk at the same time. You need to brush up on your Wyckoff. There, I got it out. What is Wyckoff, you say? Well, Richard Wyckoff was one of the early chartists, one of the early technical chartists. And here's a daily soybean chart. And you can clearly see this sideways channel that's had the market pretty much in lockdown since last September, end of August, early September until now. Why is that significant, you say? Well, because Wyckoff said that this is typically your market pattern where you hit this accumulation phase, then you hit a markup phase where prices accelerate higher, then you hit what's called a distribution phase, and then you hit the markdown phase. And guess what? Then it all starts over again. And this is the typical life of a market, right? It does this time and again. It's not always balanced like this, right? It'll go like this. It'll go like, stop it. It'll go like this. It'll go up. It'll go like this. Oh, for crying out loud. It'll come down. It'll go like this. It'll go up. Not having a lot of luck here today. But you get the idea, right? Go up a little bit, go like this, go down, and so on. But when a market has been stuck in a sideways mode for a long time, you should start to get kind of interested in it. You should put it on the back burner. You should keep your eye on it because this is almost like a spring winding up. And the longer it's been winding up, when it finally lets go, we're not entirely clear which way it's going to go from here. I would say that given the current prices, it's most likely to go higher. But this is very much like a spring winding up. It's been winding up for about 6-8 months now, and it's going to get ready to go. I can't roll back the make contract here far enough, but I'll leave it to you to play with it a little bit. And you can see for yourself, very often the market does not stay consolidated for this long. And there are some markets that will consolidate like that for years. But when they let go, the breakout will last for years also. All right, I'm going to cancel this order down here. Looks like there's no follow through to the short side. Oh, Derek, you're terrible. Derek says, Richard Wyckoff and Mohan started the same year. I won't get into the Mohan thing. For those of you unfamiliar with Mohan, no, I'm not going to say it. He's a character. Mohan's a character. All right, so do we have something resembling a double bottom here on the Eagle? Prices flinching here at the lows. Are we going to come back with a rule of three? It's starting to feel like a soap opera. Okay. The Raptor is giving us a soft edge buy signal here. And what I'll do is I'll look at taking it above the high of this current bar. I'm not going to take it at the hash mark. You can't see it very well. My logic counter is printing 43.78 3/4 as the high of this bar. So I've placed an entry at 43.74. Folks, if you're looking for a trade to follow me in on, this may not be the best one. The market is just kind of weird today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my stop loss order down here below the lows. So we kind of have this thing going on like this. Oops. Do we have a rule of 3 yet? No, we don't. We've got a green bar sell that we could look to buy above. Again, if you're really, really desperate for a trade, it's essentially the same type of thing that we're looking at in the Raptor. Looking for this double bottom type structure to hold. But really, there's just so much overlap here today. See, and here's the Falcon printing an opposite signal. Here's the Falcon coming with a late filter entry signal. Okay, that's since been nixed or will be nixed if this bar continues higher. All right, so we're long on the hawk. We have an early trend change signal here on the Falcon. We're long on the, long on the Raptor, long on the hawk. And we've got a rule of 3 signal now on the Eagle. So looking to try to take advantage of that double bottom type formation, see if the market actually starts to move higher from here, or if we're going to find ourselves stuck inside of a trading range. Now you can see our hawk trade. Remember how I tell you the green bar sell, you can trade it with the trend, you can trade it as a counter trend signal, or use it as an early warning that a first micro macro cross is going to develop. So an early warning that the trend is weakening and that we may get a first micro macro cross, and that's exactly what we're looking at right now. So I think we've hit our profit objective, or we've kissed it anyways. We've certainly at our break even. There we go. We've hit our profit target. I'm going to try to run this out, see if the buyers don't get a little bit of traction. Come on. Want to see a little bit of buying here. Maybe pull us back to the 43.80 area. I would think that would be a reasonable target. Come on, buyers. See, the buyers stepped up here. They're holding the support down here. They made a little bit of a breach here. If we can see them take out the highs, then we can be fairly confident that there's going to be two moves in the direction of the breakout. Right now, however, we're just kind of on hold. There we go. Okay, so the first micro macro cross is tripped. I think I can afford to be a little bit more aggressive with my stops now. Oh, come on. Get above there. See, if I were smart, I would just take the profit. There's a $100 bill laying there on the ground. Do I stop and pick it up? And it's the same deal here with the Raptor. I'm going to force this trade to break even now on the Raptor. And do I still have $100 there? Well, now I'm down to a couple of 20s laying on the sidewalk. Now with the Hawk, I'm pretty much committed to riding out this swing. There we go. Oh, come on, give me one more bar. One more bar. Pretty please. All right, there we go. We got one more bar. I'm going to start rolling my stops at this point. I'm still a little conservative with how I'm managing the trade, trying to give it a little bit of elbow room. Really need to see it get out of the top end of this trading range. Let's see what's going on with the Geiger counter. It's fairly balanced. There we go. That's what we want to see. No, they're starting to struggle a little bit too much. I'm not liking that. We're going to get a little bit of a swing going on here. And I think I'm going to take that trade to break even. There we go. If they go, they go. If they don't, well, I still have my profit. My scalping profit is still there. It's funny, no follow through though. Usually we'll see at least a little bit of follow through one way or the other. No, there they go. They're backing up again. Jim says the 30-year bond is starting to look a little bit bullish. That would weigh on the stock indices. I think what's more problematic is that we may be in a sideways range, in which case I should have reserved my entry until above this high. Actually, oh no, I took it above that bar, I guess. At any rate, it's not a lost cause, not yet. We do have adequate stops. Our stops are definitely in a good spot. And we even have a 4-arrow consolidation here on the hawk if you wanted to give it another go. 1, 2, 3, here's your 4th arrow, here's your 4th signal. Actually, I'll take it 1 tick above the high of this current bar. The better trade is to take it here above the 43.78-ish area. And what I should be doing is I should be throwing a onesie on this, just given the way the market is behaving today. And I'll try to run it out again. So we're just... Yeah, 4-arrow consolidation, Tony says. Yes, you see we have the 4-arrow consolidation occurs whenever the market starts to drift in a sideways or ideally a bear flag pattern. This one's a little bit more sideways than bear flagish, or pardon me, bull flagish. But this is what it looks like. So we get 1 signal, 2 signals, 3 signals. We look to take the market on the 4th signal because normally we anticipate that after 4 signals, the market will recommit to the trend. Here is a wannabe 4-arrow consolidation. It actually only got 3 arrows. This one didn't trip, but you did have 4 signals. 1, 2, 3. Here's signal number 4. Now the 4-arrow consolidation is normally so strong that I'll take it. It's the only signal I will take off of a yellow bar in the hawk. So whenever prices start to drift sideways, you want to be on the lookout for that 4-arrow consolidation. 1, 2, 3. That 4th signal, we would look to try to take advantage of that, and there the market goes. Typically, as I said, it should have either a bull flag type look to it or maybe a bear flag type look. I will consider, a sideways pattern, but it's not as predictable as these. And you can also, occasionally you'll see a slight upward drift to a 4-arrow consolidation. Those I'm not nearly as happy about. But you will get them too. You'll get like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the market will go. Okay, so we're getting a little traction. I'm going to enable my stops. Again, we've hit our profit target. So had I taken profit on the last trade and this trade, I'd be up 150 bucks on the hawk instead of trying to get cute with the market and run it out. It's that whole bird in the hand scenario. The advanced decline still pretty bullish. Jim says 1850 on the buy and 950 on the sell. Haven't done much with my stop here on the Eagle trade yet, because what typically happens, what typically happens after a rule of three is the market will go up, the band will change color, and then we're going to get a little bit of a pullback through here. And then if the trend is prepared to continue higher, we're going to see it do one of those. But given how choppy the market has been today, I don't know if there's $100, almost $100, if I should just grab that and say, thank you very much. See you later. In fact, you know what? That seems like a good plan. All right, now what we'll do is we will do this trade now in hindsight. I was long right there, short right here, and we'll see whether or not that was a good call. And same thing now with our 4-arrow consolidation. I do believe I took it right about there. And we can see our stop strategy. We'll see whether or not I should have held on to that or whether it was better just grabbing that open profit. Personally, I think taking profit is a good idea. Gold rather flat this morning. Crude oil a little bit bullish, not much. Here's crude oil. We got a red bar buy signal near the North American Open here around 6 a.m. A little bit of a rally, came back, hard edge bounce, came back with another signal. So they're pressing toward 40. I guess that'll be the next big obstacle, $40 a barrel for crude. So far, the buyers are still pressing. It's been a lot quieter today than I thought it would be. And so far it looks as though maybe I should have been a little bit more patient with the trade. Glad to know my hindsight's still 2020. Days like today, you really got to try to tune your mind to cherry picking trades. Don't be chasing stuff. Wait for the high probability signal. There's going to be some days the market's only going to give you minimal profits, right? So if you're up 50 or 70 or $100 per contract, take it. Better to have a $50 winner than a $150 loser. And if you need to think about that for a moment, take your time, because it's important. Oh, right, I was leaving that in. To see where our stops were. Oh, Derek, that's terrible. He says it's going to be a blistering cold 88 degrees in Arizona today. Oh, man, I feel for you. Derek says, I had to laugh. My wife was going to volunteer at the church and had a big coat on. Even when we were, for those of you who haven't heard my story, we decided to drive down to northern Mexico this year over Christmas. And it was like the coldest winter they'd had in the last 3 or 5 years or something. Just our luck, right? We're going to look for some sunshine. Well, there was plenty of sunshine, but the temperatures were quite cool. Well, for that part of the world. And everybody's running around in parkas and toques, and we're wandering around in light jackets and shorts. I was talking to Adam the other day, and politics aside, he was joking that if Trump becomes president of the U.S., he's moving to Canada. And I guess his family has got property around Montreal somewhere. Well, Adam lives in Houston, so he's used to extremely warm temperatures. Montreal, beautiful part of the country, brutal winters. Brutal winters. I think I grew up in central Alberta, and we had very cold winters. In fact, the town I grew up in, Leduc, Alberta, heart of the oil patch, uh, on more than one occasion was the coldest place on the planet. Yes, that's true. Colder even than Antarctica. In fact, back in the Cold War days, Cold Lake, Alberta, which was a few hundred miles away from where I lived, so closely resembled Siberia, that's where the cruise missiles were tested to see how they would fly over the terrain. In case, for whatever reason, we had to launch cruise missiles over Siberia. But yes, it would definitely be a little bit of a temperature shock to the Halpern family if they chose to move to Montreal. It's all relative. When my father was young, he was on a framing crew, and they were framing in the dead of winter in Alberta. And all the fellas, they're all wearing jackets and gloves and hats and stuff. And there was a fellow from up north, from Yellowknife, up in the Northwest Territories. And he was running around in a t-shirt. because for him, that wasn't cold. It's always fun when you go down to Mexico from Canada, and the Mexicans, they can't wrap their head around our weather. Here on the West Coast, our weather is relatively mild. It's not like the rest of the country. A cold day for us will be a few degrees below freezing. It's cold enough to snow. We get enough snow to keep us humble. We'll get about a week or so where the snow will hang around. But here, because we're on the ocean, it's the dampness. So even though it's only a few degrees below zero, it'll feel like, and I'm quoting you this in Celsius, so it's going to be like feel like -10, -15, which on Fahrenheit scale would be closer to like 20 degrees. So it's cold. You feel it, but it's not like Montreal. Or even northern Manitoba or central Alberta, where occasionally the temperature will dip to -40 degrees Celsius. And I think at that point, Celsius and Fahrenheit are pretty much on the same scale. Yeah, like Derek says, your blood is like sludge. Yeah, like Mo says jokingly, that's a dry cold, right, Eric? Yeah, it is. The humidity makes all the difference. It really does. In Alberta, there was very little humidity, and I remember going to school on days where it would be like -15 degrees Celsius, and I'd have my jacket open. It would be a medium weight jacket. It wouldn't be a parka. But because there's no humidity in the air, um, it doesn't feel as cold. It's hard to describe, but take my word for it. All right, so it looks like I did ditch perhaps a little bit too early. The buyers did recover this little selling attempt, but hey, trading in hindsight is easy. Doing it real time, not so much. So if you're still in this trade, good for you. We might see the market try to recover to the highs of this morning, which could see it trading up here around the 43.94, 95 area. Let's see if we have a resistance line near there. And don't get me wrong, folks, I've been living on the coast here now for 30 years. I'm a wimp when it comes to the cold. Yeah, so we have a primary support line at 43.92. Getting a few political comments here. I'm not going to get into it. American politics are fun to watch. Yeah, like Doyle says, anyone can trade the left side of the chart. I like that. I'm going to remember that. Adam was giving me a hard time about our prime minister because he's so young. That's a whole other kettle of fish right there. Oh dear. Well, the market's kind of drifting higher, but not with a whole lot of enthusiasm. I would think that they're going to probably top out here somewhere. If they got up back to that 43.90 area, that would be a good place to see the market top out, because of course it is the resistance line. It is near the top end of today's trading range. Don't know. I doubt we're going to get a signal on a tool like the Eagle, but we could get something resembling a sell signal on the Hawk or even the Raptor. And maybe even the Falcon if conditions are right. Yeah, good tip, Derek. Derek says the EMD, that's the mid cap 400, has been a great replacement for the Russell futures for anyone not wanting to pay those new ICE fees. Yeah, good point, Derek, because we were just talking about that the other day. And before we shut down the room today, let me pull up the mid cap. Oops, I gotta get the June contract up there. One sec. There we go. Yeah, because apparently ICE has made a hike on the fees. I thought the Russell, I read something a few months ago about the Russell migrating to the CME, that they were going to the Merc. But I haven't heard anything else about it. Wow. Derek says the Russell is 15 bucks a tick, $117 a month right now. Geez, that is a little exorbitant. Do they not want the average trader to participate? So here's the mid cap, and the mid cap is kind of like the Russell's twin. They tend to move together and follow each other very closely. So you can see a nice little first micro macro cross, no hesitation, just boom, up she goes. Another first micro macro cross. This is about a half hour before the North American Open. Red bar buy, that didn't trigger, but hey, it only takes one decent signal, right? So there you go. Let's take a look here at the Falcon. Nice trend change about the same time we were getting that first micro macro cross signal. Had another trend change signal here pre-market, if you happen to be trading at that time, and a nice strong overnight move as well. And here this morning on the Eagle, here's that same trade that we took on the NQ, except look at the nice clean structure we have here on the mid cap. So pretty easy signal to take. Let's see what the risk component is like. Yeah, that's the problem with some of these, is you end up having to reach a little too far, but hey, that's all right. That's a decent move. And the mid cap's one of these markets where I will double the profit objective also. Let's take a look now on the Raptor. And a little bit quiet out of the open. Nice little cloud crossover. The cloud crosses over. The market drifts into the cloud. The cloud offers some support. There's the signal. If you missed that one, you did get a second chance. So yeah, nice market to follow. All right, you guys, we're going to button up the room here in just a minute. Yes, a good tip here from Michael. Michael says the mid cap generally has light volume, so you need to be careful on your fills. Sometimes you need a stop limit. I think that's more of an issue if you're going to be trading, really big volume. You can see the numbers here are a little bit light on the bid and ask. It is kind of a quiet day today. Personally, I haven't traded the mid cap, probably for about a year now. But I haven't experienced that much in the way of slippage. But my orders have always been like onesie twosie type things. I've never really tried to go in there with any serious volume. But a good tip all the same. There's no harm in using a stop limit order instead of just a market stop order. just to give yourself that little extra edge of protection. Good tip. Oh, yeah, Derek says he uses 10 contracts on the mid cap and hasn't found any issues. Good talking to you too, Derek. And everyone, thank you for your attendance today. And be careful out there. I think we might be looking at a move lower in the NQ, as I said, if we get up to that 43.90 area. But overall, the market's still in an uptrend. So you're wanting to be kind of cautious both on the buy and the sell side right now. We'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully things will shake up a little bit for us and get a good end to the week. Talk to you then. Bye for now.